All right, folks, buckle your seatbelts. Or better yet, lace up your silver-tipped boots, because we're diving headfirst into the moonlit madness of werewolf lore. That's right, it's time for history, with extra hair. Let's set the stage. The year? Somewhere between vague medieval peasant times and someone's definitely being burned at the stake. People were terrified of everything. Illness, crop failure, the neighbor's goat looking at them funny. And what better scapegoat, literally, than a local who just so happened to be hairy and antisocial? Cue the werewolf. Half man, half beast, full drama. A creature cursed, or blessed, depending on your aesthetic, to transform under the full moon and go absolutely feral on the villagers. Kind of like your cousin Chad after 2 hard seltzers, but with more teeth and fewer apology texts. Now let's talk about how one becomes a werewolf. Spoiler alert, it's not as simple as getting bitten and waking up with a six-pack and back hair. Here are some of the most popular methods from ancient texts and gossip circles. Cursed by a witch, the magical get furry quick plan. 1 hex and bam, you're growling at the moon. Wearing a wolf belt or pelt. Yes, apparently wrapping yourself in a dead wolf was once considered fashion-forward and life-altering. Drinking from a wolf paw print filled with rainwater, because nothing screams great decision like sipping puddle juice. Being born on Christmas Eve, because apparently sharing a birthday with baby Jesus meant you were automatically suspicious. Guys, this lore is basically medieval BuzzFeed quizzes. What kind of werewolf are you based on your sin level? Back in the 15th and 16th century Europe, people weren't just afraid of werewolves, they were downright obsessed. Werewolves were seen as Satan's interns, doing his dirty work between human sacrifices and poorly planned cult meetings. Trials were held, yes, actual trials, where accused werewolves would be tortured into confessing everything from lycanthropy to goat theft. And if you think that's wild, one German fella named Peter Stump was executed in 1589 for allegedly being a werewolf, a cannibal, and, wait for it, having an affair with a succubus posing as his daughter. I mean, get a therapist, Peter. But not all werewolves are out here auditioning for America's next top cryptid villain. Enter the Wolver, a Shetland Island sweetheart with the body of a man, the head of a wolf, and the soul of a benevolent weirdo. Instead of ravaging villages, the Wolver chills by the shore, fishing, minding his business, and, get this, leaving fish on the windowsills of poor families. We stan a charitable king. Somebody get this fuzzy boy a Nobel Peace Prize, or at least a plushy line. In the psychological realm, lycanthropy is also a real condition, a rare delusion where people genuinely believe they've turned into a wolf. Doctors have documented cases where patients howl, growl, and insist on being fed raw meat. And honestly, that's just a Friday night in some goth clubs. So whether it's a curse, a condition, or an ancient TikTok challenge gone wrong, the lore of the werewolf reflects our deepest fears, and maybe some of our deepest desires. No judgment if you've ever crushed on the Wolfman. We've all been there. From medieval manuscripts to modern monster manuals, the werewolf has endured as one of folklore's furriest enigmas. Half man, half myth, 100% messy legend. But don't worry, we're just getting started. Up next, we dig into the global buffet of werewolf-like legends And let me tell you, some of these creatures are serving main character energy. Stick around. Now look, I know when we think werewolf, most of us picture some beefy dude in tattered jeans, howling shirtlessly under a full moon. But trust me, the wolfy weirdness runs way deeper and wider than Hollywood ever dared. Let's take a fur-coated field trip around the globe, shall we? Ah, France, the land of wine, romance, and very judgmental werewolves. Enter the Beast of Gévaudan. Between 1764 and 1767, this beast reportedly mauled over 100 people in southern France. And let me tell you, it caused full-on national panic. Was it a werewolf? A rogue lion? A misunderstood fashion-forward wolf in a cape? No one knows. But the villagers were ready with pitchforks, muskets, and probably a lot of screaming. Werewolves in French lore were known as loup-garous, and unlike their modern emo cousins, these guys were straight-up nightmares, often linked to black magic, satanic pacts, or, just being a bad neighbor. Down in the Louisiana swamps, things get humid and hairy. Meet the rougarou, the Cajun werewolf, a beast with a face like a wolf and the manners of your nosiest aunt. This creature doesn't just lurk, it judges. Break Lent? You're fair game. Skip church? Say your prayers, literally. The rougarou legend was originally used to scare kids and sinners straight. Moral policing in werewolf form? We love a multitasker.
Yeah, there we go. Thought so. Maybe that red one with the black face. Sure looks like it.
This Inuit legend is one of the more overlooked branches on the werewolf family tree, and oh boy, it's a twisted root. The story goes that an Inuit woman had relations, we're putting that delicately, with a giant red dog. The result of this fur-flung romance? 10 children, 5 of whom were dog-headed monsters with human bodies. These 5, the Adlet, were exiled across the ocean and eventually made their way to Europe. Which means, yes, according to this ancient myth, Europe may have its werewolves because a woman in Greenland couldn't swipe left on a giant mutt. Now, if you're wondering how this ties into Tinder dating, well, let's just say the cautionary themes remain relevant. In the Adlet tale, a romantic encounter with the wrong person, or beast, doesn't just lead to regret. It leads to dog-human hybrids roaming the land and terrorizing villages. Think of it as ancient folklore's version of, I knew he was a red flag when he said his favorite movie was The Grey. So while you may not literally birth a litter of carnivorous cryptids after a bad first date, the Adlet myth is a fuzzy reminder that hasty choices in love can haunt you, or, at least, scar your lineage for generations. And no, this isn't an excuse to ghost someone because they own a Malamute, but maybe don't follow them into the woods. In Mesoamerican folklore, particularly among the Aztecs and Zapotecs, we meet the Nahual, a shape-shifting being, often a powerful sorcerer, who can transform into a jaguar, puma, or yes, a wolf. But don't confuse them with your average hairy horror. The Nahual doesn't need a full moon or an angst-fueled montage. These guys choose when and how to transform. Some Nahuals are protectors, others, chaotic mischief makers. Either way, don't sass them unless you want your car keys to mysteriously vanish forever. Let's drive our cryptid cart back to the good old US of A, specifically Elkhorn, Wisconsin. There lives, or lurks, the Beast of Bray Road, a creature that's basically what happens when Bigfoot and a werewolf have a very spooky baby. Witnesses say it's upright, hairy, and has glowing eyes, like your ex, but more emotionally available. It's been seen eating roadkill, chasing cars, and generally acting like a cryptid Karen with boundary issues. Honestly, iconic.
Oh, look, right there. Stop, back up. It was right there, I just saw it.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Gosh. Watch out, you're like going off the road.
Serbia's Vukodlak, a vampire-werewolf hybrid, 2-for-1 horror. India's Rakshasa, more demon than werewolf, but shapeshifty and snacky nonetheless. Scandinavia's Ulfhednar, Viking berserkers who wore wolf pelts and may have thought they were wolves. Spoiler, don't challenge them to a duel, you'll lose, with style. So there you have it. Werewolves aren't just your full moon freakout types. They come in flavors. They come in attitude. They come from every corner of the map. And no matter the culture, they all whisper the same primal truth. Sometimes, deep down, the wild runs closer than we think. Welcome, brave souls, to the part of our episode where folklore meets fuel-injected adrenaline and a healthy side of existential dread. That's right, it's time for Eyewitness encounters. These are the tales that didn't make it into dusty grimoires or shadowy pub rumors. These come from everyday people who swear they saw something unnatural, hairy, tall, muscular, and definitely not just a confused golden retriever. Let's begin with a case from the deep woods of Mississippi, where an ordinary hunting trip turned into an unforgettable memory carved into the annals of cryptid encounters. Our first witness is an experienced bow hunter from a tiny Mississippi town. And we mean tiny. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and when something goes missing, you blame coyotes and keep your porch light on. One early morning, before the sun had properly clocked in, our hunter made his way into the woods with his trusty Matthews Creed bow. He wasn't planning on doing much, just climb into his stand and enjoy the quiet. But that quiet got quieter in the worst possible way. The bird stopped. The insects went mute. Even the wind seemed to pause. A blanket of unnatural silence fell like someone hit mute on the world. Our hunter froze, suddenly aware that he wasn't alone. He considered the usual suspects. Bear? Bobcat? Still terrifying, but logical. He climbed into his stand anyway, knife out, senses razor sharp. The stand overlooked a shallow creek, and for several long minutes, the only sound was the trickling water. Then, movement. Something tore through the underbrush to his right. Fast. He drew his bow and held position. Then it appeared. A massive bipedal beast, easily over 6 feet tall, built like it had never missed leg day. It charged down the slope, splashed through the creek, and disappeared into the woods on the other side. The hunter didn't release his drawstring for 10 solid minutes, a lifetime in archery terms. He described the creature as resembling the beasts from Dog Soldiers, but bulkier, muscles rippling, fur dark, face wrong, and it did not move like a bear. When the birds finally began to chirp again, he climbed down and made a swift exit. Though terrified, he now considers it one of the wildest memories of his life. He's just moved his stand to a different forest. Can't say we blame him. Next, we head north to southern Maryland circa 1992. It's early evening, just after dinner, and a 15-year-old boy is riding home with his family after a meal in Chesapeake Beach. He's in the back seat, watching the landscape roll by in that half-bored, half-dreamy teen way. The car approaches a small bridge. It's bumpy, so they slow to about 20 miles per hour. That's when he spots something up ahead, about 75 yards away, just at the edge of the woods on the right side of the road. A figure, tall and dark, standing motionless with its arms braced on 2 trees. It had a wolf-like face, larger and more exaggerated than anything natural. Think Game of Thrones, dire wolf, only worse. It stood upright, at least 7 feet tall, fur dark brown, arms jacked, chest barrel-shaped. But it was the eyes that really hit different. As the car crept closer, the creature locked eyes with the witness. For 10 or 15 seconds, it tracked his gaze, silently watching him pass. No one else in the car saw it, and when he asked, repeatedly, he got nothing but irritation and shrugs. Decades later, he still remembers those eyes. He insists it wasn't a bear, and in that region, that's not just unlikely, it's zoologically incorrect. He's told the story a few times, usually to disbelief, sometimes to laughter, but never again with full seriousness, until now. Call it a dogman, call it a wolfman, call it what you like. He knows what he saw. Our next story comes with a personal touch. It's not from some anonymous forum or archived blog post. It's a family story, affectionately retold, though never truly explained. The witness? A grandmother. The setting? A late-night drive home from a nursing shift, somewhere in rural America. A tired but sharp woman, driving alone down an empty stretch of road when she spots what looks like a large black dog by the roadside. She slows down. She's always loved dogs. Maybe it's lost. Maybe she can help. But as she approaches, the dog stands up on 2 legs, reaching the height of an average man. It stares at her. She stares at it. And then she does what anyone with sense would do. Hits the gas and never looks back. She described it clearly. Tall, dark, bipedal, canine-faced. A werewolf, in her words. Not a bear, not a hallucination, not a trick of the light. Now, her grandchild, who's the one who shared this story, offers a more grounded theory. Sleep-deprived woman, new to bear country, sees a bear on its hind legs and panics. It's possible, but even now, the story is told with a reverence for what Nana saw, and the unshakable belief that something was out there. And if there's one universal truth, Nana doesn't make things up. And just when you thought it was safe to let the cat out, we have one more. This encounter took place just before a summer storm rolled in. Our witness was outside, flashlight in hand, attempting the noble and often thankless task of corralling a cat back indoors. But what they found instead wasn't the family pet. Just beyond the fence line, obscured partially by shadows and storm-soaked leaves, was a massive, furry creature, roughly the size of a small car. It didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't even turn toward the light, and because of that, no eye shine was seen. But its sheer presence was undeniable. It felt like the thing was trying not to be noticed. But when something that big tries to disappear in plain sight, it's more unsettling than stealthy. The next morning, the witness returned to check the spot and found flattened brush where the creature had stood. A bed of broken greenery, matted and disturbed. Something had definitely been there. They've checked the area again since, occasionally, cautiously, but the beast never returned. Still, something about that night, the size, the silence, the quiet decision of a predator to simply watch, lingers in their memory like the smell of ozone before lightning strikes. Each of these tales shares one chilling thread, a creature that doesn't fit, doesn't belong, but refuses to be ignored. Whether it's a late-night nursing drive, a teenage gaze from a backseat window, or a hunter alone in the woods, these stories push the boundary between skepticism and belief. Because at the end of the day, not everyone who sees a monster is crazy. Some of them are just paying attention. Prepare yourselves, because in the next chapter, we're diving into defense, tactics, myths, and what to do if you find yourself face to snout with something that shouldn't exist. Don't touch that silver yet. All right, fearless viewers, we've covered the lore, we've traveled the globe. Now it's time to get practical. Because let's face it, knowing your Rougarou from your Wolver won't help if you're face to snout with a freshly transformed lycanthrope in the woods at midnight. So welcome to your crash course in werewolf survival, or as I like to call it, how to not die screaming in the moonlight. Silver, dear viewer, has been the MVP of monster mitigation since forever. Legend says it burns werewolves like sunscreen on a ginger vampire. From bullets to blades, this shiny little element is your best bet at slowing down a rampaging furball. If it gleams, it screams. Simple as that. But here's the kicker. You've gotta aim well. Forget the whole just clip their shoulder and run thing. Werewolves aren't stormtroopers. You miss, you die. This plant, also known as aconite, is your low-budget anti-werewolf grenade. Folklore says they hate the stuff. Smell it? Yuck. Eat it. Fatal. Touch it. Irritating. Kinda like me after 3 espressos. You can brew it, burn it, wear it as a necklace, or sprinkle it around your campsite like mystical glitter. Just do not confuse it with parsley. One goes in your stew, the other sends you to the ER. Warning, it's poisonous to you too. So, unless you want to survive the werewolf only to succumb to plant-based poisoning, be careful where you swing your herbal magic. Mountain ash trees, according to folklore, have supernatural shielding powers. A ring of ash twigs around your home? Instant anti-werewolf force field. Doorframe charms? Excellent. Ashwood dagger? Love that rustic aesthetic and self-defense. It's not just for aesthetic druids anymore. Mountain ash is your barrier-building bestie. Just don't mix it up with regular ash or oak, or you'll be Instagramming your demise with the wrong branch. Repeat after me. I will not try to fist fight a werewolf. Werewolves are faster than you, stronger than you, and, let's be honest, way more committed to the moment. Engaging from a distance is your smartest move. That means silver-tipped arrows, long-range rifles, or maybe, if you're feeling chaotic, a drone loaded with holy water balloons. You ever see medieval armor and think, wow, that's dramatic? Well, congratulations! So is a werewolf ambush. Chainmail might be a bit extra, but modern Kevlar vests, reinforced leather, and protective neck guards could buy you the seconds you need to escape. Or, at the very least, keep your limbs attached long enough to sass your way out. Remember, looking cool won't stop a werewolf. But surviving while looking cool, that's the real flex. Werewolves may regenerate from gunfire, but fire? That's a universal nope button. Fire's chaotic, cleansing, and terrifying, even to supernatural beasties. Keep a lighter, some matches, or a makeshift flamethrower handy if things escalate. And by flamethrower, I do not mean duct taping a lighter to an aerosol can. You're trying to survive the werewolf, not become the reason the local forest burned down. Look, sometimes the best strategy is to run like hell. If you're unarmed, outnumbered, or halfway through a camping trip with zero reception, you're not gonna win a head-on fight. Pro tip: werewolves hate loud noises. Air horns, bear bangers, or even screaming the lyrics to Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On" at full volume could startle them enough for you to escape. You'll also never be invited back to that campsite, but that's a small price. If your werewolf is someone you know, tragic, I know, you might be able to appeal to their human side. Show them a family photo, yell their name, play their favorite playlist. Werewolves are known to be suckers for a good sad ballad. A little emotional manipulation might just pause the claws, but keep your silver close anyway. You never know when love turns into lunch. Werewolf survival is about more than just weapons. It's about preparedness, instinct, and above all, knowing when to run, fight, or passive-aggressively bless a room with sage. So whether you're camping, cryptid hunting, or just vibing in a haunted forest, remember, if you hear a howl in the distance, it's probably just the wind, or something that wants to wear your face like a winter scarf. Either way, sleep tight, monster hunters. Silver under your pillow, one eye open, and maybe don't check what's scratching at your tent.